I haven't left. I'm leaving now. This one is going to be quick. Hello everybody. I've been on here for the past 2 hours, so I'm not going to say the call sign again. Look, this is going to be extraordinarily fast. I saw in my clip that the Pittsburgh Steelers didn't come out at all during the Pledge of Allegiance. When they finally came back into the stadium, they were booed. The crowd booed them. How dare you not come out for the Pledge of Allegiance? I understand that you guys are being murdered. I understand that we have a president that's racist. I understand all of those things. I understand that income inequality is gross and horrible. But when I come to the football game, I just want to see you play football. I don't want to be reminded of the shit that takes place in society. I want to see you run down the field and catch that pigskin and dance in the end zone. That's what I come here to see. Not be reminded of the vagaries that take place in our society. They booed them. They booed them. As progressives, I would really wish that there was more harmony and organization among this group. The reason I say that is you have people freaking out, you have them protesting, you have them marching. If you think about the Republican Party, their ideas and everything is not prized. Nobody likes their ideas. If you ask people one idea after the next, they would get low marks. Now, if you ask them from a cultural standpoint, they would say yes, they vote Republican. But if you ask the ideas, policies, most of the population is not on board. What's interesting to me is what started off as a knee, one guy, what started as a knee has migrated into all sorts of areas in regards to sports. Going so far, as I said, the Steelers not coming out. There was a report of Tom Brady even joining hands with teammates in rebuff of Trump. Some of the coaches was like, yes, I supported Trump, but no, I can't support him now. I'm sorry, I'm embarrassed by the whole thing. Issues that affect your wider society are now being exported into the games themselves in the society. Does this have the potential for something big? Oftentimes, we bitch about America's complacency. You have the 99% that acts as sheep. They eat their Cheerios, they pet their kids on the head. They understand that their life is difficult, but they take their life as being, this is the best life that I can make, and I do what I can to make my life for myself and my kid. This idea of there being better things that can be taken advantage of in this country, like you could have a better life. The life that you have is the life that you yourself has agreed to have. Not everybody wants to think of it that way, but it's absolutely true. The life that you have is the life that you yourself have agreed to have. Your politicians, they're coming out with certain ideas and everything else, but ultimately you still put those people in that office. Ultimately, we never looked at the Green Party candidates. We never looked at these other things. We allowed corruption to take place. We allowed that stuff to get a pass. So Hillary Clinton cannot pay for play politics. It can come out in WikiLeaks. Nobody does anything. They pretended as if WikiLeaks didn't exist. They pretended as if she was an establishment candidate. She was the choice. She was the golden child, even with the FBI investigation hanging over her head. They sell us narratives. The public bites on those narratives. They sell you narratives about what you yourself, what's good. They would say, hey, your life is awesome. The life that you have. Even though 60% of the population couldn't avoid a $500 car note or car bill if it took place. Your life is awesome. You're exceptional. You have the best country on the planet. No, you don't have health care. Those other countries do. No, you don't have a situation where you have free education. Those other countries do. Yes, you're going to put $50,000 on your head if you have the temerity to get an education. That's insane. Those countries would never allow that. Yes, those other countries abroad are better than your country in one way after the next, but you're somehow fucking exceptional. Is this the opportunity for something different? Is this the chance to be shaken out of complacency? Yes, they booed them, but they had to acknowledge them. They had to acknowledge what these guys were doing. If you booed them, at the very least, you understood that these people were bitching and complaining about something that took place in the wider society. It goes beyond this arbitrary game. There's a wider society. Now, what is the fastest thing running with regards to progressive organization? Maybe PIP, maybe Draft Sanders, maybe Our Revolution. I would hope that those organizations would be sitting back, scheming and plotting on how to take advantage of each and every protest that takes place across this country. Whether it's civil rights, whether it's about Trump bitching at football players, I don't care what it is. Any crisis is a term or a time to be exploited. If you're looking for something good, if you're looking to make changes in this country, you should be looking to exploit each and every crisis that comes up. Each and every faux pas that Trump takes. Each and every faux pas that the Democrats take. Each and everything that the Democrats put out that showed their level of complacency with the status quo, that shows them to be duplicitous. Any protest, any march, whatever. Whatever. If they're marching in Charlottesville, you should have tea and crumpets. If they're marching in some other state, you should have tea and crumpets, if not being there with them. If it's Black Lives Matter, if it's Gay Lives Matter, if it's somebody, some religious wacko trying to prevent gays from getting cakes of a bakery, yeah, you should be there backing them up. If it's Standing Rock, you should be there backing them up. I'm saying the progressive organization should wed all of these things under one umbrella. All of them, all of these strands, all of these things that these people are protesting and fighting against and bitching against. Ultimately, your culprit, your main thing, is the model itself. An environmentalist is not going to get anything done bitching at an oil company, because an oil company has a profit motive built into the system itself. That environmentalist, best bet, is to interact with the other people who are dealing with these other issues of capitalism. So yes, you're going to deal with this thing of Fight for 15. Yes, you're going to deal with the unions. Not necessarily the union leadership, but the people themselves. Yes, you're going to try to bring in Walmart workers and Burger King and McDonald's and Old Navy and one store after the next, all of these low-wage service jobs. You're going to try to wed all those people together, not necessarily in a union, but in political alignment. You're trying to make them understand that the things that they're complaining and bitching about, whether it's football players arguing with Trump, whether it's Black Lives Matter bitching at the cops to not murder them, whether it's the poor bitching at cops not to murder them and putting them in cages, whether it's people who are being put in cages through drug laws, whatever the thing is that you want to protest and bitch and moan and push about, your organization, that progressive organization, should be there, putting a pin in them and pulling them into the fold. If you're going to protest Black Lives Matter, I'm an environmentalist, but I'm going to be right there with you. If you're going to protest issues of the environment, yes, I'm in Black Lives Matter, I'm in Gay Lives Matter, I'm in Lesbian Lives Matter, I'm in all of these things that I believe matter. I'm going to be standing right there with you. I understand that the issues that affect you are the issues that affect me, and I will be there with you. You have the worst face of America that you've ever had. You have people freaking out all across the country as a progressive group. And look, you have a Democratic Party that's in tatters as a progressive group. Something. Stick a pin in all of these things. Try to pull all these things together into an umbrella. Make those things into political force. Even if you want to make this idea of single-payer healthcare, ride that train. Do something. Do something. Everything is falling apart. The world is good. Crisis is your friend. Donald Trump is your friend. The chaos that Trump is causing is your friend. The calamity that is taking place all across the country with all these people freaking out, thinking the country fell off a cliff, not realizing that Trump is just an extension of the last president. That is your advantage. Use it. Use it. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to pull all these people together. My hoping is there are better people out there that do. Those organizations like Our Revolution and everything else, if they're doing anything, that's what they should be doing. You should be trying to start a movement. Those Walmart workers, you don't have to form a union. You just need political alignment. Fighting with that union, you need the state apparatus on your side. This idea of worker co-ops is an awesome idea. It's not the end all be all. It's not the bee's knees. Ultimately, you want to get to a situation where people are working less. You want them making more, particularly in these service jobs. You need to organize your society in a way that does that. And look, this is a point that I want to nail home and leave. All of these disparate groups are fighting all of these little battles in these different areas. Roughly, all of these people believe the same thing, and all of these people ultimately fall down on this idea of the left. Now, you may have libertarians fighting this anti-war campaign. That's fine. And you can join with those people, particularly in the areas that you agree with them on. I just want to make this point that the world that you're looking at, when you're looking at a better world, don't fight the tentacles. You can spar with these ideas of the tentacles associated with it, but you need to understand the root cause of these things. Meaning, what is the incentive? What is the motive? Why are people doing those things? You can get mad at the individual for doing it, but ultimately, that person can be somewhat anybody. That person is somewhat interchangeable. The system itself compels a certain behavior. What you are fighting in all of these different areas is the system itself. It's the profit motive. There is a motive in regards to people pulling oil out the ground and pushing it into the sky. They don't do it from this moral standpoint. I know you're taking it from a moral standpoint. They're taking it from, this is cash in my pocket. This is money in my wallet. Fuck your environment. This is money in my wallet. Yes, there may be something that come at some point, but at the very least, I won't be here. This is cash in my pocket. This is my stupid human trick. This is the thing that I've used to get status and cash in our society. Screaming boo at them, it's not going to do it. It's not going to do it. What you're talking about is ultimately the model to which you're interacting with. You're talking about the model itself. Do you believe that these guys are just fuck the environment? Do you believe that they would prefer all things being equal, clean environment? Yeah, I think anybody, all things being equal. But all things are not equal. We're in a game space that says that it's of lesser importance. So it's of lesser importance. You have people who put up these valiant fights and everything else, but ultimately the valiant fight that you're having is not at the root cause of it. It's at the tentacle. It's at the tentacle. Same thing with Black Lives Matter. Like, you're fighting this idea of you're trying to make this statement of Black Lives Matter. Don't kill us. Don't murder us. There should be consequences for murdering us in the same way there are consequences for murdering anybody else. Why do cops get a pass at murdering people? That's amazing. How does the state apparatus justify cops using lethal force when people are completely unarmed? How? How is that justified? The problem with that is the statement is fine, but ultimately what you're fighting a war against is this idea of poverty. We are impoverished in this country. A lot of this boils down to how we were brought into this country and how we were saying, get the wealth that's transferred through the generations, for the most part, is transferred through this idea of property. It wasn't that somebody worked and everything else and got all the profit. No. Ultimately, this thing, stuff transferred through. This person owned a bunch of property, and that property just accrued value, and that just propagated on. Freedom in America has to do with being in a capitalistic society. Your decision space is determined by how much you have in your pocket. There is no such thing as freedom if you don't have the money to be free. That's what I'm getting at. It requires a certain amount of resources to be free. Your decision space, what you can do, what you eat, where you go, where you live, is purely dependent upon how much you have in your pocket. If you don't have cash, this idea of freedom doesn't exist. The idea of Black Lives Matter, what you're fighting is ultimately oppression and inequality. I'd argue that the issue for this is not an issue of race, it's an issue of class. Meaning Black Lives Matter, environmentalists, all of these other subgroups, all of these little fights that are taking place boil down to the model itself. If you want to change things, you need to change the model. Same thing goes for workers, same thing goes for unions, same thing goes for people who's in the fight for 15. All of these things boil down to the economic model itself. You have a model that goes against your interests, completely against your interests. You're fighting for things. But understand what you're fighting is, it's almost as if you're saying people should be better. Yes, people should be better, but why are people the way they are? You can have all sorts of people, anybody who's taking those roles are going to behave in a similar fashion. You need to reorganize the system itself. Let's stop pretending that people are individuals. They're not. People are products of their culture. If you're born in Nazi Germany, you will probably be a Nazi. If you were born in Spain, you would probably be Spanish, and you would have a certain accent, and you think a certain way. If you were born in America, if you were born in the ghetto, if you were born in Pakistan, what you are is a product of luck. It's not you pulling yourself by your own bootstraps. It's a product of luck. You could have been born in dirt poverty. You could have been born in Pakistan, being under bomb strikes by the United States. You could have been born in Afghanistan. You could have been born anywhere. It's random. It's random. It's not that you're just fucking awesome. It's a quirk of luck. Let's acknowledge that. Let's acknowledge that. Is this enough for movement? That's the question I'm getting at. I'm straying away from the point, but is this enough for movement? That's ultimately the question. If progressives got their shit together, maybe. We're in disarray. We have groups that are trying to cobble themselves together and create some kind of force. I'm just making this argument, and I'll leave it at this. All of the disparate groups that will be considered to be on the left should be focusing on one thing. Any of those things that pop up, all of them should respond in kind, meaning all of them should back up the others. If you're looking for this idea of having a movement, that's your idea of having a movement. To have this unified force in a very particular direction. When it was in civil rights, you had a segment of the population that was focused on this idea of civil rights, and you had enough of it to move the country forward and change the idea of the country. If you have enough of this idea of a human rights movement, human rights, if you're a human being, if you're born in this country, you're going to have access to school, you're going to have access to healthcare, you're going to have access to the basics of living. You will not be hungry, you will never starve, you will have a basic subsistence. Human rights. That would be your movement. Donald Trump being in opposition is a perfect foil for it. Cobble these people together into something that's a fist and punch the system repeatedly. Your problem is both parties. You need to accentuate the fact that the problem is both parties. You need to nail that home. You need to bitch and moan and complain and yank and pull whatever it is of this country to the left. It looks bad because you have Republicans in all parts of government. There's a crisis. The world is good. At least from the standpoint of somebody who wants to get shit done. Crises are opportunities. So, I'll leave it at that. And look, by the way, this idea of a crisis, yes, I understand people are getting hurt. I understand people are in a difficult situation. I understand Donald Trump is going to make it worse. All of that's true. But that's a crisis. It wouldn't be called a crisis otherwise. If everything was fucking awesome, it wouldn't be a crisis. The whole point of trying to get something done, get something moved, is because people are agitated and pissed off, and you would try to push in a particular direction. Push. Be a symbol. Move the crowd. Point them in the direction of their issues. Point out a culprit. The billionaire is on your back. The plutocrat is on your back. Create the scapegoat. Create the foil. It's just so happened that in this case the foil is true. Both parties are your problem. Bitch and moan and point and complain and yell and hobble those people together. Cobble them. Pull all of them together. And create a unified resistance. I'm just making a point where Republicans in office all across the United States, including the federal government. This is your opportunity. 2020 should be a war. 2020 should be a war. There should be a primary on each Democrat. There should be a war for what it takes and what it means to be in the Democratic Party. And if you're not getting the people that you want in the Democratic Party, run against the party itself in the Green Party or something else. Make them lose. Make them lose. The goal is a different country. The goal is transformational change. Fuck incrementalism. It doesn't work. I'll leave it at that. Alright guys, if you enjoy the content, feel free to share, rate, subscribe, and of course, you can always support the work through Patreon. Thank you. I'm leaving for real this time.